Congressman, thank you for joining the program. It's an honor to have you.
It's an honor to be on, Benny.
So I want to just begin. Obviously, there's some pattern recognition issues that are going on here with the missing scientists. And it's something that has captured the attention of the country. The president's talked about it. But you've gone a step further, and you have made the charges that some of the scientists are being taken out by space-aged weapons, potentially directed energy weapons, and that they're victims of a larger plot to silence the American people. The floor is yours. Could you just expound on your thoughts on Amy Eskridge and others?
Yeah. So I'm not certain about the others, but I know that Amy Eskridge was clearly distraught. She was telegraphing to friends and family that she was being harassed. She engaged the services of a former British intelligence officer who was investigating the harassment or the strange things that were happening to her. They were able to determine that she was the victim of what others call the Havana syndrome, which we now know is the result of a directed energy type weapon using microwave energy. This is well documented. I think 60 Minutes was one of the first to document what was going on to her. Multiple people in our intelligence community. So I personally know several others who are still dealing with the unfortunate lasting effects of Havana syndrome. So that's not a controversial or speculative or wild idea. It's certainly been well documented. But I'm not certain if the other scientists experienced Havana syndrome, but Amy, I think that they had significant evidence that she was a victim of that.
Tim Burchett was on our program before the State of the Union. It seems like an eternity ago, the way that time moves and the news cycle moves these days. And he just dropped a little nugget and he just said, listen, you got to be following up on some of these missing scientists because I know them and something nefarious is happening here. Something he thinks criminal is happening here. We didn't think much about it at the time because it's, well, whatever. It's Tim Burchett, right? And who knows what he's going to say. And we love him for that exact reason. But hot dog, dadgum, was he right about this? What do you think is going on here, Congressman?
Well, I mean, it's really mysterious when some of the people don't just walk out of their home without their cell phones, without their wallets, without their keys. That doesn't happen. I can't tell you the last time I was anywhere without my phone. I mean, usually if I go to swimming, I have the phone right nearby. I mean, it's just something people just don't do today. But yet, these scientists who are all working in aerospace in some way, whether it was materials research or propulsion or plasma research, they were all working doing advanced research for the Air Force. And when you have within a period of just a few months, you have multiple people walk out their front door and never return without their cell phones, without anything. That just doesn't happen. So I think it's worth looking into. And then plus, Benny, if you think about it, it's not crazy to suspect that an adversary who wants to do damage to the United States would go after our scientists. We know this has happened in history. We know that China, for example, has an operation that they call Operation Foxtrot or Fox Hunt, sorry, where they're intimidating, they're trying to bring back or repatriate Chinese scientists. I'm told that there's another program that they have that's called Operation Skynet, not to be confused with the Terminator, but it is an operation to interfere or try to infiltrate our scientific community. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that an adversary may be the culprit here.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you want to infiltrate American scientific communities when we're clearly demonstrating everything from ghost murmur, right, to the discombobulator? President Trump is regularly bragging that we have weapons that are 20 years ahead of everybody else. And that's what we can see on the battlefield. What they actually have in development is 20 years ahead of where we are today, right? And that's what they currently have. Do you think that some of that technology is alien? That's what's been suggested on the program before.
I've heard that claim, and I'm certainly open to that as a possibility, and it's worth investigating. That's what I've been doing on the UAP task force or the disclosure task force. But I'm not going to jump to that conclusion until I have solid evidence. So sure. I've not seen anything that definitively indicates that we're reverse engineering crashed spacecraft.
But presumably these scientists, if there is a connection, there's some type of orchestrated criminal activity here that is manipulating these scientists who've worked on all these programs, all these skunk work programs, or whatever you want to call them, but extremely the highest possible levels of classification. Something is taking these extremely bright individuals and causing them to walk off into the desert with a firearm and never be seen again. What is that?
I really don't know what's going on. That's why I think that we've got to get our FBI involved and investigate this. Hopefully they're able to look at the communications that these people were receiving or sending. Hopefully they're able to see if there's any trace, whether satellite imagery that they can track down and figure out where exactly did these people go.
Yes. What is that? There seem to be so many unexplained actions these days. Everything from Matthew Crooks. I'm still not sure we got the full story on that in Butler. And people just behaving in a manner that doesn't comport or make any sense. Yeah. And
I mean, this government tends to keep so many secrets. I mean, we still don't even know what the motives were of the gunman in Nevada or in Las Vegas, right? For that concert shooting. Matthew Crooks. It's insane that we don't have the information about that. So I think we, at the end of the day, this is really mysterious, and I'm really glad that the press and people are talking about the 11 missing scientists. What's not been mentioned are people from the military intelligence community that have also either gone missing or committed suicide suspiciously. So my office started this whole investigation with an individual named Matthew Sullivan, who was a colleague of David Grush, Jake Barber, and was deep in the UFO, UAP community, somebody that was expected to come forward to talk to members of Congress, and within 2 weeks of that appointed meeting, committed suicide. Very suspicious. So we sent a letter to the FBI. The Office of Inspector General had already deemed it a credible issue and worth investigating. So we sent a letter to the FBI. Hopefully they are looking into that as well. And then I've heard Lou Elizondo brought one up to me just recently. Another colleague that he said that mysteriously died that we need to be looking into as well. So those names keep stacking up as well.
So, given the fact that you have a clearance and you have the ability to go into a SCIF or the capacity to go and sit in classified settings and get briefed on what the federal government has as far as UFO evidence. You made a claim this weekend that I thought was remarkable, a craft too big to move. Can you unpack that for us?
I was told that in a SCIF and also outside of one that there is a craft at a location in a foreign country that is too big to move. They built a building around it. It's in a foreign country, and it is a U.S. installation. I can't say anything more than that.
It's on like a U.S. military base installation.
I can't really say anything more than that. What I can say is that it would be quite a trip to get there. I'm going to continue to do research. I've been granted permission by the White House to go to some of these locations in the United States. I think that's low-hanging fruit to visit some of these sites. And frankly, when you look back in history, this is something that was not given. This access was not given to Barry Goldwater. It wasn't given to Harry Reid. I feel very honored that the White House has trusted me to be able to go visit some of these sites, and already visited one military base that's been part of the discussion for the lore for the UFO phenomenon for quite some time. And I already checked that location off. We're going to continue to try to get to other locations as well. I know everyone talks about Area 51, but there's probably nothing there anymore. But it's probably on the list, at least to go to try to check that box.
That's interesting. So the White House is going to allow you to go and give you the top secret clearance to go and do congressional oversight and investigation.
they've given me the ability to do that. That was, and I'm very thankful for the White House. This president is a disclosure president. I mean, people complained about the Epstein files, and I wish that was handled a little bit better. But at the end of the day, those were all released. The JFK files, it took decades and decades, but Trump, with his executive order, Tulsi Gabbard's team went in and demanded the documents from the CIA. It really, I don't know if you looked into those JFK documents that have been recently released, but it definitely changes the narrative about what happened at the assassination. So I think that President Trump has successfully gotten a lot of information released. I think that what I think about the intelligence community is clear, is that you're going to have to fight them for it. You're going to have to wrestle them to the ground in order to get this information out of them. So they will take you on a dog and pony show, but I can still learn things by being there and try to read between the lines, if you will. But the way that we're going to get the truth is if President Trump steps forward and demands it from the CIA, from the Department of Energy, and all of these FFRDCs, which are called federally funded research development centers, companies like MITRE, RAND Corporation, Aerospace Corporation. These are quasi-government, entities that contract with our military contractors. And somewhere buried between that and our military contractors or their subcontractors, I think is where the truth lies.
Have you briefed the president on this?
I've not, no. I know others have.
Yes. So, I mean, he does seem to be talking about it a little bit more and have a little bit more of a curiosity, yet the April 14th deadline came and went for the UFO disclosure. What's going on with that, Congressman?
Well, that's kind of a misnomer. So my office led a letter about a month before the Anna Polina Luna letter came out. In fact, she co-signed on our letter that asked for the release, or for us to be able to at least see these videos. And we didn't hear anything back. I have heard that they were collecting those videos, that they are putting together a briefing, but we haven't had it yet. Anna then came out with a public version of that letter. And in her letter, she set a date. They didn't even acknowledge receipt of her letter until that date came. So that date was not something that was set in stone by the White House or by anybody. It was simply a date that, an expected date that Anna Polina Luna had put into her letter.
So you've been in these classified settings, you've been in these briefings, and you've materially represented what could potentially be in these videos. Glowing orbs, like balls of plasma, extremely advanced technology, that we are not alone in the universe, top secret, a metal silver orb, immediate acceleration that defies normal propulsion or physics that we know of. Have you witnessed this? You've seen this in videos?
I have, yeah. I've seen multiple videos, some that are clear as day, that it's a metallic type orb with a very smooth surface, looks like a huge beach ball that's made of aluminum, and is somehow able to take flight. I have no idea. I mean, it doesn't have any kind of wings. It doesn't appear to be it's not a balloon. The way in which it maneuvers is clearly not a balloon. So I've seen those videos. I've seen those objects from a distance in other videos where they seem to be flying at incredible speeds. And we've also heard a lot of reports of these items that are showing up in our airspace. So over military airspace, which is extremely disturbing. I've also seen videos of things that I can only describe as like a ball of plasma or something that looks, it's just wild looking. Just almost looks like some kind of glowing nebulous object. And sometimes they move, and sometimes they just sit still, or sometimes they will appear and completely disappear. So there's something weird. I don't know what it is. And I'm not going to jump. A lot of people jump to the conclusion and say, oh, it's alien, it's from another planet. I don't know. We don't know. It could be some of our military contractors that are experimenting on some form of advanced technology that's not mainstream. It could be an adversary that's working on it. And and I'm not going to completely eliminate the fact that maybe it is something that's not from Earth, but that's something that I think that we have to be looking into this, because this is a national security issue for sure.
Could you describe for us, perhaps, like, what is the most disturbing thing that you've seen in these classified settings?
I would say the recent one that I received that was described to me, that it was a military base. They had a lot of eyes on these objects. They almost had planned to try to at least capture one, or try to get at least gain more information. And these things were very evasive. There were so many people that saw them, and there were multiple objects all at once. That was, so for me, walking away from that and understanding that our military doesn't have any idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. Our intelligence community has no idea what these things are. That was disturbing to me. I was kind of hoping that they would at least have some indication or some insight as to what these are, but they don't. Or at least they claim they don't.
What about those strange drones over New Jersey that we were told to just forget about? Don't worry about it. People called them drones. They were vehicles in the sky that lit up and that hovered, that were huge. We had the mayors and the elected representatives from New Jersey on the program every single day. They were describing them from their rooftops. They brought their own homemade videos of these things. These things were real as a heart attack. But no, we got no explanation ever about what they were. Oh, we were studying the weather. Shut up. All right. Like, what was that?
Yeah, you still don't know what that was. I mean, that we should be requesting that. That's something to bring up for the Disclosure Task Force. We should be having a hearing on that topic and see what they're willing to provide. What I have heard, just from talking with people that were part of that investigation, is that was a mixed bag. Some of that was conventional. Most of that was conventional drones that were flying illegally in that airspace. Some of it was our own security drones, and some of it was Chinese. So we do know that China has a significant presence here in the United States. They do a lot of espionage, and they do some that's very, very high level. And then what they will do is they'll find some sucker to just go send with a cheap drone, knowing that person will probably get arrested and caught. But then they have some of their more advanced operations that are trying to be more covert.
Okay, really quickly here, and I appreciate it. I know we're up against a hard out. J.D. Vance tells us that these are spiritual entities. He believes they might be demons. What are your thoughts on that?
That's an intriguing topic. As a Christian, it really is extremely intriguing to me. I can't definitively say what these things are, but I'm not gonna. I think that it's very possible that he's right. It's caused me to reread the Old Testament and really kind of try to figure out how does today's understanding of aliens from another planet, how does that fit in with with the narrative in the Bible, the things that we've been reading. And I think there is certainly a way in which you can explain what we're seeing today are the same things that people saw in the Old Testament back in history. There's a great book by a gentleman named Timothy Alberino where he lays it all out. And I've read that book. It's called Birthright. And it kind of, honestly, reading that gives you a more cosmic understanding of the creation story and God's role in it and mankind's role in the entire universe. I mean, it's a vast universe. We've all known that. And, in Timothy Alberino's book, Birthright, he kind of alludes that when God talks about the different types of angels, or the Bible says you have seraphim, cherubim, and then you have the watchers, right? Well, seraphim is a description of a lizard type creature, like a snake or a serpent. And that could be, I'm just speculating, what if that is what people today call the reptilian type of aliens that are often reported as being seen, right? You have other species that are called cherubim. That could be the grays. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know. But it is kind of an interesting, his book, and a lot of podcasts are talking about this. And it's an interesting rabbit hole, but I'm trying to be based in facts and stick to that. And so all of that is speculation. I'm not saying that that's what I believe, but it is certainly interesting to explore.
And what would be the third type of angel?
Oh, the Watchers, which apparently came down and mated with women in Genesis 6. So that means that it had to at least be somewhat physically capable of crossbreeding with humans, right? And created this offspring called the Nephilim. One could speculate that those are the Nordic aliens that are often described, that are kind of a tall, human-like looking race. So I don't know. It's very interesting to speculate on, but I'm not saying that this is what I believe in. I'm just saying I'm also not dismissing this as a possibility.
Well, Congressman, this brings us perfectly to our last question, which was perhaps the most outlandish and also the most viral commentary that we've done on this show with former Representative Matt Gaetz. I know that you know him. And he claimed that there was breeding programs between humans and aliens, and he was briefed on this. Now, that's going on. And, well, you just talked about the Nephilim and that potential breeding program from way back in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm a simple Christian. I read my Bible. I believe the words that are in the Bible. And I don't, I'm no theologian. So I just try my level-headed best to just like believe the Bible. So I believe that that's true, right? I believe that that's happened. What do you say about Matt Gaetz and his claim?
I've heard some of those claims as well. I haven't been able to prove that exists, but I certainly have spoken with people who claim that is part of the program. That there is there's a crossbreeding program that's occurring. That we have. And if you want to go even further down the rabbit hole, there's the psionic, or like people that are able to apparently communicate with these things with their minds. All of that, I have a hard time believing. I'm just trying to get to the nuts and bolts of do we have a physical body of an alien? Do we have a physical spacecraft? And that's what I'm going to try to focus on first, and then be willing to explore wherever that might take us.
And then on to the alien breeding programs.
Right.
Yeah, I am not trying to make fun of it. It's like at some point you just have to roll the punches and just ask, are these people credible? Do you think that the person who told you that, so you've heard that same thing, were they credible? Somebody tell you that was credible?
So generally when I'm talking to people about this, and everyone that's spoken to me about it does not have firsthand encounters with these programs. They have been told this, so they're relaying something that has been told to them. So basically we're playing the telephone game, which is why everybody I talk to, I think, is in their own right being as honest as they can be. I don't think people approach members of Congress directly to try to lie. That puts you in some pretty hot water, particularly if you're under oath or in a skiff. And so because of that, I think that what people are saying they believe is true, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true.
We appreciate your candor and your keeping your head about you, and just your explanation of what you've seen and why we need to see more. Right? Burchett says if the world has seen what I've seen, then it would upset the whole damn apple cart. And so,
well, I'm not willing to jump to a complete ontological shock, but I think that what's clear is that there are things that defy what we would call conventional physics that are flying over our military bases, and that's very disturbing to me.
Yes. Well, please come back and brief us when you've gone to these military bases, and we very much look forward to that. Thank you so much for your time, Congressman. And
Thank you. I'm a big fan, Benny. I watch your videos. You do a great job. So it's an honor to be on.
Well, I have a feeling this one's going to be a banger. I have a feeling the internet's going to love your commentary today. And if you wouldn't mind, if I could I've never done this live on the show, but if you wouldn't mind, could we pre-book you for when you come back from Area 51? Just could we do that right now? I'm sure your scheduler perhaps will watch this, and I know I know Kara will get that done. And so if we could get that exclusive, that'd be great. If you could bring us along, that'd be great.
You're not the first person to ask that. Yeah, in fact, Leader Scalise, when he heard that was true, he said, "Can I go with you?"
Right, of course.
You're going to have to ask the president. So.
JD Vance told me he has tippy top security clearance, and so he's going to go. So you might as well just hitch a ride with JD. You know,
that's what I'm trying to do. That he's got the plane. I have to fly commercial. So
that's right. We're just humble Midwesterners, right? Exactly. I'm from Iowa. You're from Missouri. We're just humble Midwesterners. What are planes even? Thank you. Thank you very much, Congressman. Godspeed, everybody. Follow Eric Burleson here. He has 60,000 subscribers on X. Make sure you're fighting with the people who are seeking the truth. The truth shall set you free. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.